It happens in an instant. A flicker on a screen. A single transaction buried under millions. But this is no ordinary trade. This is a signal, a flare shot into the dark, seen only by those who know where to look. $51 million, a monster bet, not on oil, not on gold, not on the next social media fad. This is a bet on us, on our code, on the very software of life itself. A man named Dr. Simeon George, a titan in the world of biotech, a kingmaker who has built and sold empires for billions, just nearly doubled his stake in a company that holds our future in its hands, a company called CRISPR Therapeutics. Wall Street is scrambling. The stock jumps 15% in a single day. The machines, the AI algorithms that power our world are trying to make sense of it. One, an AI named Flash, sees a potential 100% upside, a doubling of your money. But it also flashes a warning. A quality score of only 6.5 out of 10. The AI sees the power, but it also sees the risk. It sees the numbers, but it misses the secret. Because sometimes an expert, an insider, a man who has walked these halls and seen the future with his own eyes, sees something the machines can't. He sees a truth hiding in plain sight. And his $51 million bet is a scream into the void, telling us that a revolution is not coming. It's already here. That $51 million insider purchase at CRISPR Therapeutics, ticker CRSP, is our inciting incident. It's the hook. But this story has been a roller coaster. For 5 long years, this stock has gone nowhere. Worse than nowhere. It's down 30%. A brutal ride for anyone who held on. But as the great Warren Buffett says, you can't drive a car by looking in the rearview mirror. We have to look forward. We have to skate to where the puck is going. And the puck, my friends, is heading toward a world that looks like science fiction. It starts with a single, devastating disease. Imagine being born with a typo in your own instruction manual. A single letter mistake in your 3 billion letter genetic code. For 100,000 people in the United States and millions more worldwide, this isn't a metaphor. It's a lifelong reality called sickle cell disease. This one tiny error commands their blood cells, the very river of life flowing within them, to twist themselves into cruel, sharp crescents. These misshapen cells are not carriers of life, they are weapons of pain. They snag in the delicate capillaries, creating microscopic log jams. They block the flow of oxygen to tissues and organs. The result is a life punctuated by agonizing pain crises, described by patients as feeling like shards of glass grinding through their veins. It leads to organ damage, strokes, and a life cut tragically short. For decades, the only treatments were palliative. They managed the pain. They couldn't fix the typo. The source code of the disease remained untouchable, until now. This is not a pill. This is not a daily injection. This is a one-and-done miracle of modern science. It's called Casgevy. And in late 2023, the FDA gave it the green light, approving the world's very first CRISPR-based gene editing drug. Here's how this magic trick works. Doctors take a patient's own stem cells from their bone marrow. In a lab, far from the patient's body, these microscopic surgeons, the CRISPR technology, are unleashed. They hunt for that one specific misspelled gene responsible for sickle cell. They find it, and with a precision that is almost unimaginable, they snip it out. They edit the source code of the patient's own cells, correcting the typo that has haunted them since birth. Then, these newly edited, perfectly healthy cells are infused back into the patient. They travel back to the bone marrow and begin to produce healthy, round, normal red blood cells. The kind that flows freely. The kind that carries oxygen. The kind that brings life, not pain. In the clinical trials, the results were breathtaking. Out of 44 patients treated, 42 were completely free from those agonizing pain crises for at least a year. It's not a treatment, it's a functional cure. CRISPR Therapeutics, with its partner Vertex, has built this key to unlock a prison of pain. It's already been approved in 8 jurisdictions. More than 65 treatment centers are being authorized. The revenue hasn't hit the books yet. The machine is just warming up. But that is the first piece of the puzzle that Dr. Simeon George is looking at. He sees a company that has already slain its first dragon. But what if that was just the warm-up act? What if the same technology that can fix a single letter in the code of our blood could be weaponized against the most feared disease of all, the emperor of all maladies, cancer? This is where the story pivots. Curing sickle cell disease, a condition affecting about 100,000 people in the United States, is a monumental achievement for humanity. But for investors, it's a niche market. The real prize, the multi-blockbuster potential that has billionaires like Jeff Bezos saying he'd go into biology if he were starting over today, lies in conquering the diseases that touch us all. CRISPR isn't a one-trick pony. Casgevy was the proof of concept. Now they are parlaying that success into a four-pronged attack on humanity's greatest enemies: blood disorders, heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. They are turning this cutting-edge gene editing tool into a platform, a factory for miracles. And their next target is one that has defied our best minds for a century. Let me tell you a story about a battle being fought on the absolute frontier of medicine. Picture a room. In it are 12 people. These are not just any patients, they are the warriors who have been through hell and back. They have large B-cell lymphoma, a vicious cancer of the immune system. They have endured round after round of brutal chemotherapy. Their bodies are scarred from the battle. Their hope is fading. They are officially, in the cold language of medicine, difficult to treat. They are running out of options. Their cancer is smart. It knows how to hide from their own immune systems. The body's natural defenders, the T cells that are supposed to hunt down and destroy rogue cells, are flying blind. The cancer has cloaked itself, making it invisible to the patrols. For these 12 people, this is the last stand. They are part of a trial for a radical new idea: an off-the-shelf CAR-T therapy made possible by CRISPR. Traditional CAR-T therapy is a breakthrough, but it's cumbersome. It involves taking a patient's own T cells, engineering them in a lab to recognize their specific cancer, and then reinfusing them. It's personalized, it's expensive, and it takes time these patients don't have. CRISPR's approach is different. It's revolutionary. They take T cells from a healthy donor, and using their gene editing scissors, they perform a series of incredible edits. First, they engineer the T cell to recognize the lymphoma, giving it a new targeting system. But then, they do something brilliant. They use CRISPR to edit the donor T cell's own DNA, making it essentially invisible to the patient's body. This prevents rejection. It means you can create a huge batch of these cancer-killing super soldiers in advance, ready to be infused into any eligible patient. Off the shelf. These 12 men and women, with everything on the line, receive a single infusion of these pre-made, gene-edited assassins. Then they wait. The results are staggering. This is not a slow retreat. This is a rout. The cancer, which had been untouchable, is suddenly exposed and under relentless assault from this new army of supercells. Of the 12 patients, 8 of them, 2/3 of the room, see their tumors shrink or vanish, and for 6 of them, 6 of the 12, the remission is complete. The cancer is gone, undetectable. A 50% complete remission rate in the most difficult to treat patients imaginable. Let that sink in. Imagine you are in that room. You've been told there's nothing left to do. And then, a single bag of clear liquid drips into your veins and you are given your life back. This is the power we are talking about. This is not just an incremental improvement. This is a paradigm shift. This is just one of dozens of programs in CRISPR's pipeline. This is the second secret Dr. George sees. He sees a company that isn't just selling a cure for one disease. It's building an arsenal. But cancer, for all its terror, is often a sudden, violent assault. What about the silent killers? The diseases that build up over a lifetime, lurking in our very blood, ticking like a time bomb. Heart disease is the #1 killer on planet Earth. It's a slow, creeping epidemic fueled by our modern lifestyles. And 2 of its chief accomplices are LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, and triglycerides. For millions, controlling these requires a lifetime of pills, diets, and constant vigilance. It's a war of attrition. But what if you could end the war with a single shot? What if you could permanently edit your body's ability to produce these harmful fats, making you virtually immune to their effects for the rest of your life? It sounds like a fantasy, but it's happening right now, in another one of CRISPR's clinical trials. Let's meet our next set of pioneers, 10 patients. They have stubbornly high levels of triglycerides and LDL cholesterol. These aren't just numbers on a lab report. They are statistical probabilities of a future heart attack or stroke. Their arteries are slowly but surely hardening and clogging. It's a silent process. You feel nothing until the day you feel everything at once. The crushing chest pain, the sudden numbness, the end. These 10 volunteers are the first humans to receive a treatment called CTX-310. It's an in vivo therapy, meaning the editing happens inside the body. A single infusion carries the CRISPR machinery directly to the liver, the body's cholesterol factory. The mission: find the gene responsible for producing a protein called ANGPTL3, which regulates lipid levels, and switch it off, permanently. This is perhaps the most audacious step yet. They are editing a person's DNA while it's still inside them. The risks are enormous, the potential reward incalculable. The data comes in, and it is a jaw-dropping success. With a single infusion at the higher doses, the patient's triglycerides plummet by over 80%. Their LDL cholesterol, the plaque builder, is slashed by a similar amount. These are results that even the most powerful daily drugs can't consistently achieve. And this wasn't achieved with a lifetime of pills. It was a single treatment, one and done. They didn't just lower the lipids, they have potentially rewritten these patients' cardiovascular destinies. This is the third secret. This is the final piece of the human story. A functional cure for sickle cell, a revolutionary new weapon against cancer. And now, a potential one-shot cure for the world's biggest killer. This is the pipeline that Dr. Simeon George is betting $51 million on. He's not just buying a company, he's buying a stake in the future of medicine itself. So now, we must turn from the science to the numbers, from the miracles in the lab to the hard-nosed reality of the stock market. Because for all this breathtaking potential, the company is still losing a fortune. Let's get back to the finances, because this is where the story becomes an investment thesis. As I said, CRISPR Therapeutics generates almost no revenue today. They are burning through $500 million a year in research and development. They are pouring money into these trials, into building the future. If you look at their balance sheet, they have about $1.8 billion in cash. That's their war chest. But the company's total value, its market cap, is currently hovering around $5.6 billion. Let's do some simple math. If you take the total value of the company and subtract the cash they have in the bank, you get the value the market is assigning to everything else. Their technology, their patents, their scientists, and that entire world-changing pipeline we just discussed. The market is saying that all of it, the cure for sickle cell, the off-the-shelf cancer assassins, the one-shot heart disease therapy, all of it together is worth about $4 billion. That is the midpoint revelation. That is the number at the heart of this entire drama. Is the potential to cure the world's worst diseases, to build a multi-blockbuster business that could generate revenue for decades, worth only $4 billion. Dr. Simeon George, with his $51 million check, is shouting, "No!" He is telling the world that Mr. Market is blind, that this $4 billion valuation is a historic bargain. So, how do we get from a $5.6 billion company today to the 100% upside the AI is hinting at? How do we get to a $12 billion company and beyond? This is where we have to work backward. This is the game. To justify a $12 billion valuation, the company needs to start generating real, substantial profits. Let's imagine a future, 5 years from now. Let's say the market values CRISPR at 20 times its annual earnings, a reasonable multiple for a revolutionary biotech firm. To be worth $12 billion, it would need to be generating about $600 million in pure profit, $600 million in profit. For a company that loses $500 million a year today, that sounds insane. But is it? Let's think about the price tags on these cures. They are astronomical, often running into the millions of dollars per patient. Why? Because they are one-time cures that replace a lifetime of expensive care. For sickle cell, if they capture just a fraction of those 100,000 US patients, you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar revenue stream. And CRISPR gets a profit share on that with its partner. Now add in the CAR-T cancer therapy. The market for cancer treatments is immense. If their off-the-shelf solution proves safer and more effective, it could become the standard of care, generating billions more. Then add the heart disease treatment. The potential patient population there isn't thousands, it's tens of millions. Suddenly generating $1 billion or $2 billion in annual revenue with the sky-high 80% profit margins these patented drugs command doesn't seem so far-fetched. $1 billion in revenue could easily translate to that $500 million plus in profit we need. This is the math Dr. George is doing. He is betting that within a few years, this company will go from zero to generating $500 million in annual profit. It's an incredible, almost speechless-making leap of faith, but it's a leap rooted in the data we've just seen. Of course, the risks are immense. This is the dark side of the story. These are the dragons they must slay. First, competition. CRISPR isn't the only gene editing company. They have to prove their treatments are not just effective, but more effective than their rivals. If a competitor comes to market with a cancer therapy that has a 60% remission rate, CRISPR's 50% suddenly looks less impressive. Second, execution. Scaling production of these cutting-edge therapies is a monumental challenge. It's not like stamping out pills in a factory. This is bespoke, living medicine. And third, reimbursement. Will insurance companies and governments agree to pay millions for a one-time cure? That is a societal battle that is just beginning. This is why it's so hard. It's a high-stakes poker game being played for the future of humanity. An expert in this field would need to go line by line, calculating the odds of success for each drug, the size of each market, the strength of the competition. It's a dizzying task. For me, it's largely too hard to have that level of conviction. But then, you look back at the man who just wrote the $51 million check, Dr. Simeon George. This isn't his first rodeo. He was an early investor in a company called Turning Point Therapeutics. He saw the potential there when others didn't. Bristol-Myers Squibb eventually bought them for $4 billion. The man knows how to spot a winner. His bet is a powerful statement. He is looking at the $4 billion value the market has placed on CRISPR's pipeline, and he's saying it's worth double that, maybe more. So what do we do with this? We stand at a precipice. Behind us is a century of medicine based on chemistry, of pills and scalpels. Before us is a new era, an era of information, an era of biology as software. An era where we don't just treat disease, we rewrite it. This is the golden age that visionaries like Ray Kurzweil have dreamed about. The moment where our technology becomes so powerful it can reach into our own cells and fix the bugs. It's a time of incredible optimism for humanity. I find myself rooting for this company, for this technology, no matter what happens to the stock. We are on the cusp of eliminating suffering on a scale never before imagined. As an investor, this remains a profoundly difficult decision. It is a bet on a series of future miracles fraught with risk. It's a lottery ticket, but one based on some of the most profound science of our time. The story of CRISPR Therapeutics is not just about a stock. It's a story about human ingenuity, about the relentless quest to overcome our own biological limitations. That $51 million bet is more than just a trade. It's a vote of confidence in a future where we are no longer victims of our genetic lottery. A future where we are the authors of our own code. The journey from zero to $500 million in profit is a breathtaking mountain to climb. But for those who believe, the view from the summit could be unlike anything we've ever seen. And it leaves us with one final resonant question. If you could invest in the company that holds the key to curing cancer, heart disease, and thousands of other genetic conditions, what would that be worth to you? I'd love to hear your perspective in the comments below. What do you see when you look at CRISPR? Do you see the risk or do you see the revolution?